What's going on YouTube? Chronos here and welcome back to another PSO2 video. So today's video we're actually going to be making my second Rivalate weapon. I did get a lot of questions on the previous video kind of about why I made the choices that I did. I did want to go over those specific choices and a few other questions that I tend to get during live streams and things of that sort. So we're going to jump into each one of those. Hopefully this video won't be too long because I actually tried recording this earlier and my computer just decided it wanted to completely restart. So yeah, I wanted to give you guys a more in-depth walkthrough of exactly what I was doing, so on and so forth. Unfortunately, we've kind of already completed all those processes, so we're just going to talk about them, and then I'm going to show you how I actually create my Revery weapon, go ahead and take care of it, so on and so forth. So at the time that I'm doing this, keep in mind, it is currently not a boost week anymore over on the global servers. I know JP currently still has their boost week going, so hopefully you guys hopefully my JP bros over there have made some sick upgrades to their weapons and their units. I know they've got a lot of really cool things going on, so super awesome to you guys. But over on global, we currently don't have a boost week. Our boost week ended last week, or I'm sorry, at the beginning of the week, or this week. So right now, if you're making any weapons, any units, anything along those lines, keep in mind we don't have a boost. Now, for this weapon specifically, I'm going to be going for a 6-slot setup. The reason for it is because it's not on boost week. During boost week, upslotting is substantially easier, meaning that we can save ourselves quite a bit of money if we want to go for higher slots. However, since it's not a boost week, we're not going to be jumping to those slots anyway. We prioritize making the weapon we absolutely wanted during boost week, and we're just taking care of an upgrade off of boost week because it's something that needs to get upgraded anyway. We'll be making our wand today for Etoile. Now, I did want to talk about one thing really quick here too, because I get this question all the time, and it's how do you decide what weapon to upgrade first? Should I upgrade the weapon I like, or should I upgrade the weapon that's best for my class? At the end of the day, you're still playing a video game. The whole point is to have fun, to enjoy what you're doing, whether that is to succeed through new challenges, or whether it's to just crush bosses with your friends, or hang out in the lobby and, spam lobby actions, whatever you like to do. What you should focus on is what's going to make you have the most fun. If you're getting frustrated, annoyed, upset at what you're consistent, like you're not able to do specific content or challenges, then there's no reason for you to upgrade something that's not going to increase that for you. I always am an advocate of upgrade the weapon you like first, but don't hold yourself back by not upgrading the rest of your gear. Basically, be mindful of your resources, understand what you might need in the future, understand what you're going to be using right now, and don't blow everything at once. A lot of times we tend to chase after the upgrade, so on and so forth, and we end up blowing all of our resources on that one upgrade when in reality we have more to come. One thing about global is we're on an accelerated timeline. We know what's coming. We know what we're going to be working towards, what we're going to have access to. So you really want to make sure that if you upgrade something now, it's not going to burn, or it's not going to hurt from your upgrades later. One thing that tends to pop up all the time from our JP players is, hey, look, don't worry about this, skip over that, move on to the next thing, which in some cases actually is correct. It just depends on what we're talking about. We have to remember that when they were upgrading these weapons and items, getting a hold of these things, it was substantially more difficult. However, they had a lot more time to get these weapons and these upgrades. Because we're running on such an accelerated timeline, things are much easier. In some cases, almost completely free. So you want to make sure you're taking advantage of what you have access to for free. Where, one of our JP brethren may have spent 400 to 500 mil in some cases on certain weapons. In reality, on global, I don't think I've spent over... Actually, I want to say my Rivalate weapon was probably the most expensive I made. And that one, in reality, I spent of my own money about 30 to 40 mil. Resources wise, probably closer to about 100 and 120. Now that is pretty substantial, but I knew what that weapon was going to do for me. I knew what its whole purpose was and what I wanted to get accomplished with it. And I wanted to make sure that I was able to get that taken care of. And I'm still pretty comfortable for resources of getting the weapon I actually want to make an end game taken care of. The whole point of your resources is to use them. If you want to hoard them, that's super cool. Feel free to. If you're someone that's like, I'm going to skip everything and just get crass, go for it. Do that if that's what you're looking to do. But I know I have enough resources to get my weapon, my crass weapon, as strong as I want it to be and still be able to make upgrades now. I know people are looking towards New Genesis in the future, and the whole point is we're not going to be able to take over a lot of these things into New Genesis anyway. Meseta will not transfer over. So holding on to those resources in those Meseta, or that Meseta, isn't going to be super beneficial for you. Now you could gamble, right? It's a possibility that there may be certain systems that makes it super useful in the future. However, it's not guaranteed. It's something that is just that. It's a gamble. So just be mindful of your resources, understand what you're upgrading now, and under no circumstance do I ever recommend blowing up everything on one upgrade right this very moment. If you can't afford it, just chill. Take what you have right now, move on towards the next one, because the next upgrade is going to be around the corner. It's not very far off. I mean, we have still weapons coming probably in about a week. Actually, my guess is in less than a week at this point in time. However, when we're looking at Rivalate going towards still weapons, or Rivalate weapons with their plus potential actually are on par, and in some cases pass up still weapons, depending upon your class and how well you play. So this was actually a pretty safe upgrade for me to make in a lot of cases. And unfortunately still does share some resources with endgame weapons like Crass, and with endgame units like Crass as well. I guess I said like Crass, but basically they share resources with Crass. So it depends on how long we'll have to farm all of those resources. I'm probably not going to make more than one still weapon, and even then I may skip over making that still weapon itself. It just depends on how quickly we can farm up the resources we need. Again, at the end of the day, my endgame goal is going to be Crass for both my weapons and my units, so I want to make sure that I'm sitting relatively comfortable to make that happen. So we did a lot of talking at the start of this video. What are we actually going to do during the video? We're going to be making our Revery wand. The Revery wand, why are we making it? Well, it's a fairly strong weapon. It covers the cost, or covers the gap that we have in crit chance on Etwall. Makes it so our crit chance gets up to 100. I'm gonna go ahead and just talk about the elephant in the room. Yes, while farming, I did happen to get Skydance support. Yes, while farming with friends yesterday, I did happen to get Wise Skill or Skillful Adept. Yes, I understand how incredibly lucky I am. I'm super, super happy about it. So I'm able to close the gap on the 100% crit along with my Rivalate weapon. Actually, I go a little over 100%, but it's really nice to have access to. As far as what you need, now it does suck that we don't have the Photon Booster trade-in, but that was something introduced into JP. After it was a really long time, really difficult to get ultimate boosters. So I mean, we might see it, but I'm not 100% sure. As for farming ultimate boosters, they were I say fairly easy because it is my experience, but they weren't too difficult to farm by just doing mining base VR. Mining base VR is something that can be kind of difficult in a pug. Maybe grab one friend, the two of you go in together, but basically as long as you're sitting on a base, you and your friend sitting on two separate bases, having two bases survive is going to usually get you an A rank, which can net you between 0 to 5 ultimate boosters per run. It is RNG, you are going to have to kind of play that game, but it does get your ultimate boosters fairly quickly. And if you happen to get more people together, people tend to group up for these, and the people that are running them consistently actually been doing a fairly decent job. I've usually just been YOLOing my way into them, not really taking anyone with me and just doing it casually, and I got my ultimate boosters in about a day or two. Just finishing up my last two ultimate boosters I needed a couple of hours ago, so not too bad. Or if you're someone who plays more solo, you really don't want to rely on doing group content, ultimate or Profound Darkness solo triggers are available. You can get those triggers, I think, Rising Weapon Badge 3s. So if you have 5s, trade them down into 3s, and then pick up the triggers. And if you complete the trigger at an S rank, you guarantee at least one ultimate booster per run. That is 50 runs, and they can take anywhere between 8 to 12 minutes, depending upon how quickly you complete them. You do need to kill it within 12 minutes to get the S rank, so that is important. But you can get guaranteed 1, a potential 2, since Profound can also drop 1. But you have the potential of getting 2 of them, so that's a way to guarantee get them. Of course, then you have mining base VR, which is a bit RNG. Nice thing about mining base VR though is you can get leg units, you can get Skydance Boon to drop, which is super cool there, and other options. There are camos that drop that can make you some money, so there's other things to be gained from farming them. Again, maybe find a friend, maybe find a random group over on block 1 that just wants to farm these and stick to the bases. You may not be able to top the charts as far as mining base points go, but to be honest, mining base points are just for first and last hits on enemies and crystals collected. Basically, sit by one of your bases, kill enemies as it comes to the base itself, and then while there aren't enemies coming to your base, go grab crystals on your side of the arena. Makes things fairly simple, and you can usually carry a TDVR fairly easy in that sort of way. But let's go ahead and move on to actually making our weapon and getting that taken care of, because we did gather a lot of resources, unfortunately, during the last video to go ahead and show you guys, but unfortunately computer restarted and I lost that footage, so we'll have to talk about them now. So what are we using? First off, we have our actual affix setup. Let me go ahead and close this out. We're going with a 6 slot like I mentioned beforehand, but we're going to be doing Astral Soul, Might 6, Graceful Might, and Mana Reverie. So I did have this question pop up as well. People ask, why Mana Reverie? Mana Reverie is difficult, it's expensive. Well, I actually priced it out, and Mana Reverie currently is only going to cost me about 9 mil. 9 mil because these profound sabers were about 600k a piece. Since you can get a hold of them while people are actually running Persona pretty consistently. Even if they're not, you can grab the triggers, run them yourself on a difficulty where you're able to solo it. You can trade in the fragments, 15 each gets you one of these here. Now granted, it is a plus 30, so you are going to need a lot of them, but right now it's accessible to me, so I'm going to go ahead and use it while it's available. Again, it's about using the resources you have available to you to go ahead and make this happen. These 6 slots were really, really inexpensive, and even if they weren't 6 slot, upslotting to 6 slots not that difficult. It's just going to cost you some X cubes. But again, that is resources, so you still have to factor that into our overall cost if that ends up happening. But for me, that wasn't the case. I was able to buy these. I lucked out pretty well on these. I would just keep an eye on the market, look up multiple different profound weapons. I just went to the gun slashes because people usually don't want gun slashes anyway, and they tend to stay fairly inexpensive. And again, their augment factor, if we go ahead and pull it up, is Revery Catalyst. We need Revery Catalyst on 4 of our weapons to be able to make a Mega Memoria. So we'll put Revery Catalyst on stuff here. We can see we need 4 Revery Catalysts, which we'll have here. We'll put 2 on our other SAFs, and we have an Omega Memoria. Fun fact, Omega Memoria drops from UH Omega Luther, and it's like 600k. So it's fairly inexpensive. You don't really need much for it. Actually, I don't think I have my Omega Memoria on me right now. I don't. Let's go ahead and grab that in a moment. But Omega Memoria is fairly inexpensive right now. It's dropping in high slots on weapons, Val weapons specifically. And it's only about 600k for a 6 slot, which is pretty inexpensive. So all in all, this is going to cost us around 3 mil to make. Now, if we also stack on, we'll be using Graceful Might. Graceful Might right now on ship 1 is selling for about 6 mil. Now, this is where you can kind of cut corners. You can drop yourself down to say like, what is the second one? The one underneath Graceful Might, I think, is Noble. I want to say, you know what, let's go ahead and just head over to the shop so we can actually take a look. You guys can see a bit of a better viewpoint on this. So you guys can actually see that I'm not just making up numbers or anything along those lines. It actually isn't that expensive. So it was kind of crazy when someone was like, Omega Memoria is too expensive. I'm like, it's not. Just make your own. Don't buy everything off the market. And if it's too expensive, move on to something else. Keep in mind you have other options. Let us grab... So when I bought these, they were actually less expensive. Right now, they're up to like 6 mil. I think they might be a little higher now. Been a few hours since I checked. Yeah, some of them got bought. So they're up to 7.3 mil right now. During the support scratch, they dropped pretty hard. So I picked them up during then. I'm holding on to them because I know at least are going to need a couple of them for side weapons. I'm only going to use $1,000 on my main weapon. I'll use these on side weapons. So like my double saber or my wand. So I'm keeping a hold of a few of them. This is going to cost you around 7 mil right now. But you can drop it down if we go to 3 mil. So less than half the price. You only lose out on 10 main stat and 1 PP. Not really a huge difference, to be honest. So we have that. We want to grab our Omega Memoria, which I think I have a few of these saved from running my triggers. Omega... Yeah, there it is. Omega Memoria. Have a few of those saved from running triggers. So our 6 slot Omega Memoria, if you guys want to see. 600k. Really, really inexpensive. Very, very easy to do. It's kind of crazy how easy it is now. Actually, I kind of was mauling a bit actually on stream when I realized how easy it was to put Omega Memoria, or sorry, Mana Reverie on the weapon itself now because of the Profound with Revery Catalyst. So not too bad there. Let's talk about our other fodder we need. Great weapon. So I've had this for a while, honestly. Now, weapons themselves, I will mention this. When you're looking at augmenting a weapon, it does not need all stat. In reality, you're looking for your main stat, and you're looking for PP. That's really your most important things. HP, getting HP on the side is kind of nice as well, especially since we're on episode 6, where things tend to truck you pretty hardcore. Having defensive stats even along with your weapons. I think some of mine do, actually. Let me just take a look at my... Where is it? I can't. There it is. My Rivalate, I think, has some defensive stats. Yeah, it has like 35 all defense. Having some defensive stats is actually pretty nice because enemies do tend to truck you. Even if you're at 12, you can still get chipped down fairly well. And the big thing is while you're playing class like at 12, you can't just actively heal yourself without stopping to heal. Granted, you can be invulnerable while healing, but it's easy to get ticked down before you realize it. So just keep that in mind. Enemies tend to truck you pretty hardcore. Just be careful. depending upon the content that you're doing. So looking at our options available to us, we have our profound weapons, we have our Mega Memoria, got our ray weapon. The ray weapon again was fairly inexpensive. It actually dropped for me personally, but you can get this with rising weapon badges, which they should be pretty plentiful these days. Rising weapon badges drop off of most of the triggers that we're doing right now on UH. And the Selkaiser sword I just used because I had access to a Selkaiser sword. I was holding on to this for something else. I decided not to use it then. But because I've been playing the game for so long, I played at a time where we got Aether Fuses like crazy because it was a Yamato at the time. So 20 of these gave me a plus 35 instantly. All I had to do was upslot it to 4, so it's pretty easy to do there. Other than that, you can pick up a dim weapon instead. Dim weapons are 14 stars, where the SAF is main stat plus 6. If we can go, so I think I looked at dim double saber. Yeah, 6-slot dim double saber is 220 or 250k. So not really expensive there. Pretty nice, pretty comfy, pretty cheap. So we have our main stat. All we have to do is plus 35 it, of course. As far as upgrading all of these, over on global we have access to. Let's head over here and show you guys what that is. We have access to weapon Exp Minis. Pretty nice to use. Pretty easy. To be honest, it's actually almost free to upgrade weapons. Now, if you're someone who's played the game for a while, you should have tons of Lambda grinders saved up because you weren't, burning all of them upgrading 13 stars early on when it was more difficult to do so. I personally have like 1,200 Lambda grinders still left over, and that's after actually burning them consistently on upgrading weapons. But you can save on Lambda grinders by slamming those weapon XP minis into a different weapon and then using those to use fairly limited Lambda grinders. In reality, you can basically set yourself up to only need 4 Lambda grinders per weapon that you're upgrading to plus 35. So just take those weapon EXP minis, put them on like a 12 or 13 star, actually put them on a 12 star specifically, and then slam those into your weapons. I think actually if you use a 12 star, you're going to need, what is it? I think it's like 5 for the upgrade to plus 30, so 6 total, maybe 7. 7 Lambda grinders, not that big a deal. Or if you just happen to have tons and tons of Lambda grinders like I do, you can just say screw all that and just take tons of weapon EXP minis and slam them into your weapon. Super, super easy that way. So we talked about our Mega Memoria. We talked about our Grace, our pop item basically. We talked about we talked about Omega Memoria. We talked about Mana Reverie making it, with all these profound weapons. We talked about our pop item. Talked about our Ray weapon that we're going to be using. These actually drop, or I'm sorry, not these specifically, but Union weapons actually drop off of Profound Darkness on UH pretty commonly. So you can get a hold of your own, or you can buy one off of the market. Let's take a look. Yeah, that's 7 slot for 800k. Like, it's really, really inexpensive. If you really don't even want to plus 35 it yourself, I mean, this person has it for 3 mil, but it's super inexpensive to get a hold of this stuff nowadays. And it's all Astral Soul, so it's pretty free. Having, again, the extra stats are nice. You don't really need to have all class stats, but the HP is nice to have, and it's fairly easy to get a hold of. So that's why we went with it. Selkaiser Sword, again, is our main stat boost. You can also just use a dim weapon. Don't have to use this, but I happen to have access to it, so it's just easy for me. We're going to be using the S4 from Wand Impact, and we'll be using the S5 from the Novel Wand. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this into our Rivalate first. We're going to slap this S4 by transferring over the S-grade augment onto it, and then we're going to upslot this to a 6 slot, and then we're going to affix it. So let's go ahead and get started with that process now, since we've been talking and it's been about 18 minutes. Kind of crazy how time passed so quickly, right? And I appreciate you guys. Some of you guys have offered little bits of advice here and there. I appreciate all advice that's being offered, but I do make my videos a very specific way because people tend to learn more from them this way specifically. I know my videos aren't for everyone, but there are tons of other PSO2 content creators. Highly recommend checking them out. I'll try to leave links in different videos when I talk about them individually, but there are some pretty good ones around, and I'm sure because I just said this specifically, some of you guys are going to mention them in the comments. So check out the comments, dude. You might find something you like a little bit more than myself. I don't mind that too hardcore. YouTube is mostly just advertisement for everything else that we do anyway, so it's not really that big of a deal. Let's go ahead and make this weapon. So Rivalate Wand, cool, have that. Oh, I didn't buy my I forgot to buy my Palagrimo, Grimo. So let's take care of that too. I'm actually going to cut here really quick for a second. Take care of something real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. We were talking a bit much. Had to get some water. Also had to get my Plum Grimo. Unfortunately, it was a bit more expensive than I wanted it to be, but again, this is using resources you have access to. I've got the resources, so that's not a really big deal for me personally. And I will get a lot of mileage out of this weapon, so it is worth it to me. So we've got all the stuff we have together here. We got everything we need. We have our novel 1+35. We have the plat matte Diard Rivalate key, which we got our second key from getting up to 800 titles. I had to farm out those titles as well. I actually started doing a bit of crafting to get those titles. It's kind of annoying, but it wasn't too big of a deal to get taken care of. So let's go ahead and turn this in. Get our Liberate weapon. Cool. Our Rivalate, excuse me. So now that we have that, there are two things that need to be taken care of. We need to add the S4 over to it, which is just from our Atlas wand. The way we got this, of course, was just making an Atlas. I keep one Atlas that I swap around whenever I need different S4s. It just costs some gold mats to swap it around, which they're 1K a piece, so it's like it's basically 2 mil whenever I need a different S4. Not too expensive in my opinion, but we'll make a lot of this money back by just being able to farm content with these weapons. At this point, since I have all the weapons I'm going to need, basically everything else I get as far as materials go, that means anything is for 14 stars and 15 stars, anything I break down, all of it's basically going to go directly onto the market. I'll be making money off of all of it, so it's just going to be free money at this point in time. I guess not free money, it's going to cost to take us making our weapon first, but it's just going to be money to be made that we'll be using to build our stores back up while we're waiting for the next chunk of content that we'll have to do. So, and this is going to be very important for us while we're farming what's it called, we're farming Divide, because we want to have a good wand for mobbing and Divide. So anyway, we have our wand. Let's go ahead and do a S-grade augment transfer. I kind of wish it was the week where things were free, because S-grade augment transfers can be fairly expensive. No, not that weapon, this one. So we're grabbing you, and I mean, we'll just take some easy stuff. I don't think any of this stuff is actually I can consider easy, unfortunately. I'm just gonna do that. That's fine. Vinculum can be destroyed, and then this can go down to 2 slot for all I care. Not a really big deal. Oh, it's only 100k, so that's not too bad. Usually it's a couple mil, which is annoying. So we've got that. Now we need to up slot this weapon to a 6 slot. Hopefully we don't get doo-dooed too hardcore. Let's grab our augmentations. We're never going to use a 45, at least not for a while. We'll be using our 45s to up slot our units, specifically our crass units, when those come around. So let's go ahead and get weapons. We need at least 5 slots. We want to be looking for, we're actually gonna get a few of these. So we want 1, so I got 2 1s, that's okay. I'm trying to think really quick right now. So we need to have a 6 slot, we need to have 4 junk augments. MP Embrace, I believe, was on one of those things I just purchased. We have Might 1, I think Reflex 1. We need one more 1. That's Poison. I don't know if that transfers easily. I can't remember actually. That's Stamina 1, that'll work. Okay, cool. So we have those 3. We've got that. I should have probably not even purchased that and just used the tried and true Might Boost method. This is kind of a meme on stream where you can use these affix augments, melees, or anything that you might have, because you get a lot of them from the mission pass, and they're really useful during up slots because you can just use it to fill in a slot if you don't happen to have enough augment pieces. So let's grab our Riv Wand. Let's grab our junk. And for the memes, we'll add that. Our Might Boost. Might Boost is always important. We'll come to you last though. So Steadfast. So we have Wand Impact. Steadfast Harpoon is basically the S5 or the SAF from the Rivalate Wand anyway. So we're adding Steadfast Harpoon. We're basically stacking for our normal attacks. Right now, Wand, technically you don't want to have the normal attack, but I'm basically going to bank on if I do have the normal attack at any point in time, I want it to be potent, and I want it to gain back quite a bit of PP. So we are needing that Might Boost. So actually that worked out perfectly. So we've got everything we need here. This would be 100% if I used a 45, but I'm not burning a 45 on this. Dude, don't do this. Just let this go through. Don't be that guy. Thank you. All right, so we got it to 6 slot. Fairly simplistic. Again, this is one of the situations where getting up to 6 slot is RNG. However, the RNG is not that hardcore. You got to keep in mind, I'm rolling a 95 4 times. So there's 4 chances for it, basically, for it to fail. So keep in mind, we'll put away that wand because we might use it in the future. We basically have everything we need. We've got our S4 and S5, so let's review. We have our S4 and S5 on our weapon. taken care of. We need to put Revery Catalyst on each of these, which that's not going to be very difficult to do, fairly simplistic. And then we have an Omega Memoria. So let's go ahead and take care of putting Revery Catalyst, putting them on the Selkaiser sword, and we're putting it on the Ray sword. I need to unlock some stuff, so let's go ahead and do that really quick. We're going to go ahead and unlock these. I'm actually going to unlock everything because I'll be moving into using all of this soon. And I'm a little lazy and I can just triple check everything. If you're super concerned about accidentally using the wrong item, just leave things locked. Don't unlock them until you're ready to use them. So we need to put Revery Catalyst on each of these. Let's grab the Selkaiser sword and a profound weapon. This should still be fine. I'm not upslotting, so everything should still be 100%. It is, and we have its SAF on here as well. So we don't need to worry about using anything. We're good to go. Everything is 100%. It also has Revery Catalyst. Good to go. So that's one taken care of. Add Revery Catalyst to this as well. We only need one. And because we upslot this on our own anyway, it has a bunch of really good junk augments on it already. We use all of our junk augments. It has Astral Soul because, of course, it's its own SAF, so it's easy just to go ahead and toss that in there. And they're all 100%. Don't worry about using anything. And we're good to go. So now we have Revery Catalyst on each of those. So let's review one more time. We have Revery Catalyst on both of our SAF fodder. That's going to be the Selkaiser sword, or I guess in your situation, if you're doing this along with me, your dim weapon, as well as my astral weapon, or my ray weapon, or if you were doing your own, you're probably going to end up using a union weapon because they're fairly inexpensive on the market anyway. And then we have our two Revery Catalysts, we have our Mega Memoria, and we have our junk augment. So all we need to do is make sure that we have our Grace, which we need to grab from here. Where is it? I contemplate using a grand because I have 4 of them, but that 4 basically is 3 for my units, 1 for my main weapon. So I'm not using any of these. How much are they right now? Let's see. Yeah, they're 24 mil. They were down to like 17 for a while, but I'm not even gonna mess with it. So we're not gonna do that. We're gonna go ahead and use our tried and true Grace. That's good enough. Grand only really gives us the 20 HP and the extra 10 damage, the extra 10 main stat over what we had. Not getting any more PP off of it. So I was like, I'll save that for when I'm using for my main weapon itself. So some people might some people might opt to specifically only use Grace, which is totally fine on a weapon as well. Usually Grands are gonna be more useful on units because that's where you actually want to stack up your HP and things like that. But Grace is totally an option you can use, and it's much less expensive. So we're gonna choose our weapon, and then we're gonna choose all of our fodder. So we have our Might 6, Astral Soul, Omega Memoria, and our last two. What are these? Our Revery Catalyst SAF. This is not what I wanted. I did not choose affix. Also triple check everything, by the way, because that would have been catastrophic. You guys would have seen me end the video so fast. This video actually wouldn't have existed. We want to use Augment Plus, and then you want to make sure that you're putting this in the proper order and you're not a complete and utter awful individual. So always S4 and S5 first, then our soul, and then we want to go in ascending order. So it's going to be a Might 6. Then we want to go... what am I missing? Hang on, something's missing. Did I mess up? Where did I mess up? Where did I mess up? Mega Memoria. Oh, the weapons don't have Revery Catalyst themselves. I actually did mess up, so I need to put Revery Catalyst on their weapon, on the weapons themselves. Hang on a second, it should be fairly easy to do. So the reason this kind of got messed up a bit was I forgot the weapons themselves. Just because they're Revery Catalyst SAF, that just means that the Revery Catalyst will be available whenever I'm going to do an augmentation. I need Revery Catalyst on those weapons to be able to create Omega Memoria. So I need 6 slots, yes. 6 slot fodder. This is where it's getting kind of annoying. Need for 2 weapons. And those weapons I didn't upslot myself, so they don't have really great junk fodder on them. So this is going to cost me a bit of money while I look around for decent junk. Well, actually, I don't even need even decent junk fodder if I want to go ahead and just burn. You know what? Let me do this. Oh, these are fairly inexpensive at the moment. Hang on. It's always like... It's kind of annoying. Actually, let's see if we go even higher slottage. If it's still... a bit easier because there's more augments. Yeah, see, that's exactly what I thought was going to be the case. Sometimes going higher slot is actually better because there's just more augments on them overall. There's a chance of there being more junk augments. I think I have enough of what I need. Do I have 40s? Let me see. I have 140. I know I need the 40 for the end. I'm going to pick up 2 more. So that's going to burn me 200 X cubes, which isn't too terribly bad. But I want it just in case. This is basically just so I don't have to worry about getting a bunch of junk fodder. Since I'm not upslotting, I can use things that are below 100%, essentially. God, we are leaking on X cubes, dude. I'm going to be doing EQs for a while. That's cool. When Divide comes out, Divide is tons and tons and tons of X cubes. So I'll be doing that basically forever. Let's go ahead and affix. We need to take care of, where are you? These 2 profound weapons. So let's grab these 2. I'm not sure what's on them. Make sure there's nothing I need. Okay, it's not. Okay. Nice thing is all the weapons I actually need are high slot weapons. So yeah, this is what I was afraid of. 1, 2, 3. I actually need 1 more. Let's go ahead and do this one. It's an 80%, and I can use a 30% to put that 100%. So now that has Revery Catalyst on it, we're good to go there. We need 1 more Revery Catalyst. So what's interesting thing is, technically, I could have saved myself some money. I don't need 4 of these. What I just needed was Revery Catalyst. So let me double check Revery Catalyst at 6 slot on the market, because they do drop percent. So this might have been a little bit of a waste personally, but it's just something I just thought about. Let's look for Revery Catalyst 6 slot. Yeah, so those are only about 800k. I could have saved myself some money because technically you would spend more money between the X cubes. If you want to think about it with using X cubes, right? X cubes are worth about 12k a piece. I had to spend per weapon that I used for the upgrade fodder for these weapons themselves. So like I had to upgrade that weapon to plus 35, right? I upgraded the weapon plus 35. I needed, how many weapon Exp Minis? It's 5 per. I needed 30 weapon Exp Minis to get it to plus 35. So I'm looking at that from monetary value standpoint. I used 150 X cubes, which is worth 1.8 mil. So 150 X cubes are used, worth 1.8 mil overall, meaning that I actually would have saved money by just purchasing them Revery Catalysts instead of making the Revery Catalysts. Something to keep in mind. Again, not everything I do is an exact science. While I'm doing it, you have to really think about these things consistently, but my brain was just, I need Revery Catalyst, I can make Revery Catalyst. Sometimes you can actually just buy Revery, or buy certain things that are going to be cheaper overall. So let's go ahead and so this one is done. Yes, I just have to take care of this one. So, but it's a small mistake to make. It's not really the end of the world for me personally. I've got the resources that I need, so I'm not going to really worry too much about it. Again, we had an 80%. We can just use a plus 30 and bam. And then what else do we have? Everything else is good. Yeah, okay, cool. So we're good everywhere else. Let's try that again. So Rivalate wand, grab all of our fodder. And as you can see, Mana Reverie is now there. S4, S5, Astral, Might. I think, what's the next? It should be Mana Rev and then Graceful Might. Yep, that looks very nice. So we go ahead and start affix. We want to use a plus 40. We're not RNGing this. We're not going to even, you can use a plus 30 if you want to RNG, but if you want to roll that 10% gamble, that's on you. I'd rather just pay the X cubes. It's not worth it. So go ahead and have S4, S5, Astral Might, Mana, Grace. And we're done. That leaves us with 180 melee power, 55 HP, 14 PP, fairly solid weapon to use. We'll toss that onto our palette over what we had previously. You can see the stat differential on what we were using beforehand. Now, it isn't a bad thing to keep a hold of our Trailblazer Cane. We're probably going to turn it into a different weapon, just because I have other classes that I want that might want to use this weapon, or we can use it as like a free PP battery refresh. But it is a fairly strong weapon to have, and there we go. We are all done with our weapon itself. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys. I know it's, again, a longer video, but they tend to be long. My videos tend to be a bit longer, especially when I'm going through an entire affixing process. But 34 minutes to affix something actually isn't that bad. And you guys didn't have to go through the process of me getting everything together first. Just had to talk about it. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to toss them into the video description below. I will go ahead and also link the formula I used for this weapon itself. Again, keep in mind, everything that I do on this video itself is very specifically to ship 1. You want to keep in mind what you have access to, what materials you're using, so on and so forth, and don't burn yourself out as far as materials are concerned. We have more things coming down the line. There may be better options for you later on. I'm not telling you not to make weapons, but I'm telling you to be mindful of the resources you're using and make sure you have resources in the future for more things. Because as you guys can see, I've never had a situation where I didn't have the resources I absolutely needed to be able to make my weapons, even outside of like getting super lucky in some cases. This is with me having more resources left over, like by far. I'm not even close to hurting for resources. I think the thing I'm hurting for the most right now is my X cubes. And this has been the first time since starting to play this game I've been hurting for X cubes. So either way, hopefully this has been helpful. A like on the video is much appreciated, guys. Comment if you guys have any questions. Subscribe if you want to keep up with the content. Click the bell icon if you want to be notified of when content goes live, or my community posts, or join us over on Discord, or join me or follow me over on Twitter for notifications in either one of those locations, or to interact with us in different ways. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Peace out.